After the flood. Before this story, we learned about the flood in Noah's Ark. God cleansed the world of unimaginable evil through a flood, preserved Noah and his family, then promised to never flood the earth again. Now we discover that just because the flood is over, does not mean the dysfunction of people is over as well. Yet God still endures with people and has a plan to expand them across the whole world. This is inspired by the book of Genesis. Noah and his 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, along with their families, made a home in the new world after the flood, determined to live a new and holy life among God. Yet even now, the subtle imperfections of humanity began to bubble forth. Noah became a man of the earth just as his ancestor Adam. He tilled the ground and worked it with pain and labor. Noah planted a vineyard and made his own wine to drink. One morning he became drunk and stumbled into his tent naked. His youngest son, Ham, came into the tent to find his father naked and in a shameful state. Ham delighted in this and mockingly told his older brothers, furthering the shame of his old and drunken father. The delight of Ham revealed the subtle pride re-emerging in the hearts of mankind. Unamused and determined to protect their father's dignity, Shem and Japheth entered Noah's tent, walking backwards and carrying a piece of cloth over their shoulders. They draped a cloth over their father, covering his nakedness, and left the tent. Noah woke up from his drunken slumber and discovered what had happened. Dishonored and embarrassed, he cursed his youngest son Ham, saying, "Cursed be the land in which you dwell, Canaan. Your descendants will toil under the oppression of your brothers as slaves." And he blessed Shem and Japheth, and blessed their descendants too. Noah turned to Shem and said, "I praise God for Shem. The Canaanites will be the slaves of his descendants." Then Noah turned to Japheth and blessed him, saying, "God will give Japheth more land. His descendants will live with the descendants of his brother Shem, and the Canaanites will be the slaves of Japheth's descendants." This furthered the familial strife between families for generations to come. Noah continued 350 years after the flood. He lived a total of 950 years, and then passed to the dust, just as his ancestor Adam. Ham, Shem, and Japheth multiplied and filled the land with many descendants. Among Ham's line of cursed descendants was a man named Nimrod, who plagued the earth and hunted men. It was him who would lead the first kingdom to rebel against God, Babel. The people of the earth all spoke the same language, were drawn to one another, and gathered in the land of Shinar, also known as Babylon. Their collective pride mimicked that of their forefathers. "Let us build ourselves a city and a tower going up to the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves." To the heavens they ascended, determined to be like God, a mistake once made by their ancient parents Adam and Eve. God lamented over their tower because it represented the same pride that continued to fracture their relationship with one another. Once again, filled with both anger and compassion, God said, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they cannot mingle together to build one kingdom under the mission of pride and arrogance." So the Lord dispersed them all over the face of the earth. Unable to communicate with one another, they left the great city and tower. The tower was then called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth. So the people scattered, forming new and smaller kingdoms with those they had a common language with. Just as Noah had declared, Shem's descendants multiplied greatly. Out of the seed of Shem came forth great nations and people groups, the most important among them being Abram, one of God's greatest heroes and the father of all nations.